Hey guys, how you doing? This is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group, and today we're going to talk a little bit about, on this Worship Wednesday, we're going to talk about business plans. And I got two scriptures here, man, that really kind of pinpoint with some accuracy about the way to make business plans. And we're going to talk about some practical things, but again, this is Worship Wednesday, so we're going to deal with the spiritual aspect of business plans. So from the start, right? I think a lot of times I was talking to this aspiring entrepreneur on LinkedIn today via my LinkedIn chat box, and she wants to work with me and kind of get some things situated in her business. But at the end of the day, we got to talking about her plans and her goals, right? And it was so consuming and so overwhelming to her that she didn't start. She had a bunch of outlines and things that she wanted to kind of put together, but she hadn't started a business plan yet. But the idea was great. And what I told her is the same thing I'm going to tell anybody that wants to write a business plan. You have to answer a couple of questions, right? And understand this before we get into that. Business plans are living documents, right? They're not set in stone, because as you go and as you pursue your dreams and your aspirations, right, you're going to change things. You're going to change the structure of your plan. You may start out doing one thing, but find out that the market is pushing you in another direction. So understand that your business plan is not the final will and testament for your company. You really just want to answer a couple of simple questions, right, to start. You want to answer what you're going to do, who you're going to do it with, how you're going to do it, why you're going to do it, as far as what makes you different. So it's the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those 5 simple questions, right, will get you a decent business plan. Now, if you're talking about investors, we gotta dive a little more into that, because they want to see numbers. They want to see, market share. How much of the market are you going to potentially get? Because again, you're asking them to make an investment. But if it's a small startup and you're trying to get your feet off the ground and you want kind of a roadmap for yourself and the people that are going to help you, answer those 5 questions, right? The who, what, when, where, and why about your organization, your mission, and your vision statement, and things like that. And you'll really be able to go ahead and forge forward as you start to craft your business and your ideas and things like that. Don't overwhelm yourself by thinking you got to answer every potential question that your business is ever going to have within your business plan. It's impossible, right? So don't overwhelm yourself. Answer those 5 basic questions, right? We'll talk more about investors on another Worship Wednesday or a different day. But in order for you to start, don't put yourself in this perpetual analytical cycle where you're going to constantly evaluate and reevaluate everything you do before you actually do anything. So we got a scripture that talks about that, right? And it says, Proverbs 16, I go to Proverbs for just about everything, man. It's the book of wisdom. So Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9 says, the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. And what that means to me is, we're going to write down plans because plans are good, right? We're going to write down the things we aspire to do, the things we aspire our business to do. But the Lord establishes your steps, right? And faith is a process where you take a step, you'll get some more information, right? And you'll know a little bit more, and you take another step, right? So you're acting on the information you have, understanding that God is going to provide those other details as you go forward. So it's not like you're going to have the whole picture situated at first. I mean, if you look at a lot of companies, think about McDonald's, right? McDonald's started with a pretty extensive menu, right? They were kind of a typical restaurant when they first started. They offered a lot of different things, but as time grew, they started to scale down into what we know as the McDonald's today, and they really perfected their niche. Same thing with Walmart. So certain things start one way, but they end a different way. And if you had to just go by your business plan and stick 100% by your business plan, a lot of companies wouldn't be here today that we now know as world-changing, pretty big companies within their respective industries. So the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. Give God room to breathe on your plan. Write down what you know, right? The Bible says, write the vision, make it plain, right? So write down the part of the business plan that you know, but also take a step back and allow God to impart some things throughout the process of either putting it together or enacting that plan, right? So if you're putting a plan together and you take your time in prayer before you begin to write and you don't hear anything from God and you just start working on what he's told you before, that's fine, man. Put that down and then begin to act on that. And as you act on that, God will provide those other necessary steps and those things that he's called you to do, right? Within that plan as you go along. Like Tyler Perry, he says just do one thing. Focus on one thing, right? Tyler Perry's focus on one thing. Perfect that. His one thing was to make a successful play. Now, Tyler Perry's in a bunch of other things now, but his one goal at the time was to make a successful play. The other parts of the Tyler Perry business plan came as he began to walk out the things that God has called him to do, right? So understand it's the Lord that establishes your steps. Write the plan. Don't go crazy writing the plan, because you'll put yourself in a state of paralysis thinking that, well, my plan's not perfect. No plan is perfect. No business plan is perfect, right? There are business plans that are better than others, depending on who you ask, but no plan is perfect. As you start to turn the corner where you want to present your information to investors, angel investors are more like family and friends, right? They'll understand the idea from a conceptual standpoint. But if you're talking to a bank or somebody like a venture capitalist, they want to see numbers, right? So that's a whole nother take on a business plan. And a lot of times you want to already be established and have some things going in order to really understand what your market is and how you're going to extrapolate that out to have potential earnings and things like that for your investors. So let's step out of that. We're going to go to Proverbs 15, chapter 15, verse 22. It said, "Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed." Now, all advisors are not equal, but let's take this for what it says, right? Without counsel, this lady wants to work with me in order to enhance her business plan and kind of go through it and see if there's some things that I can point out. That's very intelligent, because why not on the front end have somebody that has a little more experience? Not saying I'm the most experienced person in the world, but why not have somebody on the front end take a look at your plans and your agenda and how you're going to go about things that may be a little further ahead of you in business, to be able to say, hey, I think that should change, or can you explain that a little bit better, or kind of help you or critique the business plan in order to make sure that when you when you start out, you're firing on all cylinders as best possible. A lot of people don't want to invest the money up front, which is kind of contrary to what business is. Business is you taking the risk. Now, there are more calculated risks than others, like in project management. We talk about mitigating risk. Now, a way to mitigate risk for a new starter is, one, to have a coach, me, or somebody like me, right? Or it doesn't have to be me, right? Somebody like me that'll give you the advice on the front end to help better serve you without making you go through a lot of heartaches and issues and things that we personally went through when we started our individual companies. So without counsel, plans fail. We have to have people in our corner, right? The further you go, you're going to realize how important your team is. Now, again, we talked about it on a previous, I don't know if it was Worship Wednesday, Sunday, or just one of the videos I put out. But we constantly talk about teams and how tough it is to build a team initially, right? To build a team initially takes money, it takes time, people got to believe in you, but you got to already be in motion to build a team. So let's not talk about teams. They're consultants. I'm a consultant. There are other consultants in your area, your industry, in your neck of the woods that can give you some of those lessons learned, right? In project management, we have a lessons learned that we pass down to other project managers working on similar projects or with similar companies, right? So they don't have to make the mistakes we did. So remember, without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So take advantage of the advisors that are around you, right? You have to invest in your business. Give yourself the best opportunity and chance to win. Now, this is the kicker, right? Proverbs 22, verse 5. It says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." So the plans of the diligent, right? There's two parts to that. There's the plan and there's the diligent application of that plan. It takes time. I was talking to a young lady, I believe it was a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and we were talking, right? We was on the phone, we did a consultation, and we were talking about marketing. And like I explained to her, there's a certain progression that marketing takes. The first thing you have to do, especially when you're dealing in an online consumer based industry, whether you're a retailer, whatever you're doing online, right? There is the branding which builds the trust, right? The first thing people got to do is trust you, right? Outside of the people you know, we're not talking about the people who know you and can come knock on your door if something goes wrong. I'm talking about the person on the other side of the country who's never heard of you or your company. You have to build your brand in a trustworthy manner, which takes time, it takes effort, it takes money. Then the second part is to find out what they actually want to buy, right? If you have certain products that are doing well and products that are doing not, right, then you'll have some information. But if you're testing the market with products, you want to find out how to actually pitch that product. Who actually wants to buy that product? So it's going to take time. So as I explained to her, marketing is not the magic wand for making sales, right? Marketing is the structured process by which you go building your brand, which then leads to long-term consistent sales. Because you don't want to base your business on hit or miss sales. You want to structure your business. Again, we're going to the process word. You want to build your business around processes and systems that produce reliable, consistent results, right? So those are my three scriptures, right? We have Proverbs 16, Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22, Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9, and then Proverbs chapter 21, verse 5. And it's all about, we're talking about business plans today, right? So again, don't allow yourself to be paralyzed waiting for the perfect business plan. Is number one. Answer those 5 simple questions and then start moving in a direction where you're going to start fulfilling those things, because it's going to give you the opportunity to now pull in the data you need in order to critique your business plan as you go, right? So that's the first thing, right? Then the second thing is seek help when you're building that plan, or seek help throughout the process, right? You have Fortune 500 companies that hire consultants that have been doing this, that have been in the industry for hundreds of years, and they realize that they don't know it all. So if the information's not in the house, right, or in the organization, we got to hire consultants outside. So as a small business, I know that you may not have the funds that business does, but you have to allocate your funds where they're going to have the best use and the best service to you. And if that's starting the right way, then allocate the funds to start the right way. Or having a coach, then allocate the funds to do that. And remember, don't put the pressure on yourself. The Lord establishes your steps. So give yourself time to build that business and build that momentum, because there's no such thing as an overnight success. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is there's plans, and then there's the diligent execution of those plans, right? It's one thing to have a great business plan. It's a whole nother thing to do the day-to-day work that business plans call for in order to make your company successful. So again, let's just recap that last one. There's plans, and then there's diligent execution, because if not, you're not going to get the results you want without the diligence, right? Because it takes that time. It takes that time to build that momentum, to get that ball rolling, to get that customer base building. And if you're not diligent, just as fast as you started to build up, it can start to slowly unravel, because if you're not diligent, maybe your competition is. And they're waiting for that window of you being lackadaisical in order to move in, and potentially peel off some of your market, right? So we don't want to do that. So we want to have plans, and we want to be diligent. So I'm going to give you those scriptures again. Proverbs 16, chapter 16, verse 9, Proverbs 21, chapter 21, verse 5, and Proverbs 15, chapter 22. And once again, this is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group. Write your business plan, make it happen, man. Y'all be blessed. Peace.